Lionel Messi just rewrote the World Cup record books in Dallas, and for a few agonizing minutes, it looked like the story might end in heartbreak instead. In the 9th minute against Austria, Argentina won a penalty. Messi stepped up, the entire stadium holding its breath, sensing history. He fired wide. A missed spot kick, his third in World Cup history, now the most of any player to ever play this tournament. For most players, that moment would define the night. For Messi, it was just the setup. In the 38th minute, after Thiago Almada's dummy let Facundo Medina's pass run through onto his left foot, Messi caught goalkeeper Alexander Schlager leaning the wrong way and finished into the bottom corner from 20 yards. 17 World Cup goals, level with Miroslav Klose's all-time record. Then, in the dying seconds of stoppage time, after his first attempt was blocked, Messi found the rebound through a sea of Austrian defenders. 18. Argentina won 2-0, sealed their place in the round of 32, and Messi stood alone. At 38 years old, 2 days before turning 39, 2 decades after his first World Cup goal as an 18-year-old substitute in Germany, he became the greatest goalscorer the World Cup has ever seen. Even Klose himself, watching from Germany, didn't hesitate to react. "I've always said Messi is no slouch," Klose said. "For me, Leo is the best footballer of all time. Congratulations, champion." This is the story of the night Lionel Messi became immortal.
The numbers that make this record untouchable. Let's actually sit with what just happened, because the scale of this achievement is almost impossible to overstate. 18 goals across 6 different World Cups, across 20 years. From a teenage substitute against Serbia and Montenegro in 2006 to a 38-year-old captain still deciding matches in 2026. Klose's record had stood since 2014. It survived an entire World Cup cycle. It survived the rise of Kylian Mbappé, the final years of Cristiano Ronaldo, the peak of Neymar, and a generation of elite forwards who all tried to chase it. Messi did not just break it, he broke it twice in the same match. And the breakdown makes the record even more impressive. 14 of his 18 World Cup goals have come with his left foot. 4 have come with his right. 4 have come from outside the box, which matters because this is not simply a poacher's record built on rebounds and tap-ins. Even at this stage of his career, Messi is still scoring in different ways, from different zones, and under different types of pressure. He has now moved beyond Klose's men's record and beyond Marta's 17-goal benchmark as well. That means this is no longer only a men's World Cup story. Messi now owns the top scoring mark across the global tournament conversation itself. And then there's the timing. He did it 2 days before his 39th birthday, at an age when most forwards are retired, protected by reduced minutes, or kept around mainly as symbols. Messi is still not being treated like a symbol. He is still being treated like Argentina's central attacking reference point, and he is still delivering. He has now scored in 6 consecutive World Cup matches dating back to 2022, a feat managed by only 2 other players in the tournament's history, Just Fontaine in 1958 and Jairzinho in 1970. He has played a record 28 World Cup matches, more than any player in tournament history, and the 5 goals he has scored already at this World Cup are more than he managed in any single previous tournament, including the one he actually won in Qatar. That might be the most unbelievable part. 12 of his 18 World Cup goals have come since he turned 35. The version of Messi that many people expected to slowly fade away has instead produced the most ruthless World Cup scoring stretch of his entire career.
The penalty miss that made the story better. Here's the part of this night that deserves more attention, because the way this record fell mattered almost as much as the record itself. Missing that penalty in the 9th minute could have been a disaster. Messi has now missed penalties in 3 consecutive World Cups, going 4 of 7 from the spot across his career at this tournament. For a player chasing immortality in real time in front of a sold-out crowd of 70,649 people at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, a missed penalty is exactly the kind of moment that invites doubt. And for a while, Austria played like they sensed it. Ralf Rangnick's side pressed higher after the miss. They disrupted Argentina's rhythm. They had real spells of control, and for a few minutes, this did not feel like a procession toward history. It felt like a match that could get uncomfortable. But that is what made Messi's response more revealing. There was no panic, no desperation, no attempt to force the record by shooting from impossible angles. Argentina simply kept playing. When the moment arrived again in the 38th minute, it did not come from individual brilliance alone. It came from a team move. Almada's dummy run, Medina's pass, Messi arriving in space, one controlled finish into the bottom corner. That is the story underneath the record. This is not the old version of Argentina waiting for Messi to create a miracle from 30 yards with 3 defenders around him. This is a team that now gives him cleaner pictures, smarter runners, pressing support, and emotional protection. The same theme appeared again for the 18th goal. Messi drove the counterattack himself, found Julian Alvarez, stayed alive after the first shot was blocked, then finished the rebound through traffic. That is why the missed penalty did not ruin the night. It made the night better. It showed that Messi could be human for one moment and historic in the next.
The human story behind the milestone. There's a layer to this night that goes beyond the record itself, and it's worth sitting with for a moment. Messi's family confirmed last week that his father has been undergoing treatment for an undisclosed illness back home. After his hat-trick against Algeria in the tournament opener, which also came in his 200th international appearance, and exactly 20 years after his World Cup debut, Messi was visibly emotional. He admitted afterward that his tears came from difficult personal days that had nothing to do with football. That context changes the weight of what happened against Austria. This was not just a record chase. It was a 38-year-old man carrying real personal worry while still performing at a level high enough to break a record nobody had touched in more than a decade. Asked about the achievement afterward, Messi reacted in the most messy way possible. He deflected almost everything back toward the team. "The truth is, I am very happy for the win above all," he said. "It was a very important, very tough, and hard-fought victory. It gives us peace of mind for what is to come. All matches in this World Cup are very even, very intense. I'm enjoying this moment and craving to enjoy it with my teammates." No victory lap, no speech about legacy, no attempt to make the record sound bigger than the match. That has always been part of the Messi story. Even when the world wants to turn him into a monument, he keeps pulling the conversation back toward the group. And maybe that is why this Argentina team feels so different from the ones I came before. This is not a squad emotionally crushed by the burden of Messi's last chance. This is a team that has already won everything with him, and now plays with a calmness that allows him to enjoy the final stretch instead of carrying it alone.
The race that's still very much alive. Now, here is the part that keeps this story from being finished. Messi owns the record today, but Kylian Mbappé is already close enough to make the chase feel alive. Mbappé entered Monday on 14 World Cup goals and played his own match against Iraq just hours after Messi's record-breaking performance. He scored twice, moved level with Klose's old mark of 16, and suddenly the gap to Messi was only 2. That changes the conversation. Mbappé is 27 years old. He should realistically have 2 more World Cups ahead of them after this one. And because the expanded format creates more matches, more knockout routes, and more scoring windows for elite forwards, this record may not be untouchable forever. That is exactly the torch-passing subplot football has been waiting for. Klose himself predicted back in January that his record would fall either to Messi at this World Cup or to Mbappé at the next one. He was right about the first half. Whether he is right about the second half will take years to find out. But for now, the record belongs to Messi. He leads the tournament scoring charts with 5 goals through 2 matches, ahead of Mbappé, ahead of Erling Haaland, ahead of every other elite striker competing on this stage. And that is what makes this moment so special. The future may belong to Mbappé, but this World Cup, at least right now, still belongs to Messi.
What comes next for Argentina? With the win over Austria, Argentina have already clinched their place in the round of 32. Combined with the rest of Group J's results, they are now in a commanding position heading into the final group match. They close out the group stage against Jordan, a far less daunting opponent than Austria. That means Messi will almost certainly get at least one more chance to add to his record before the knockout rounds even begin. But the bigger picture is not just about Messi's goal count. Argentina have now won 8 consecutive World Cup matches dating back to the shock opening defeat to Saudi Arabia and Qatar in 2022. That run includes lifting the trophy, surviving pressure, managing knockout games, and now starting a title defense with the composure of a team that knows exactly who it is. Scaloni's side looks every bit as battle-tested as the team that won it all 4 years ago. In some ways, they may even look deeper. Alvarez, Almada, and Medina all contributed directly to a record-breaking night without needing to become the headline themselves. That matters. Because if Argentina are going to defend their crown, this cannot be only about Messi scoring his way through the tournament. It has to be about the structure around him. And right now, that structure looks strong enough to keep the dream alive.
The legacy is now undeniable. So where does this leave the conversation about Messi's place in football history? 18 goals at a World Cup is not just a record. It is a number that captures longevity, adaptation, pressure, and timing. It captures the teenage Messi who scored in Germany, the heartbroken Messi who lost finals, the captain who finally won in Qatar, and now the 38-year-old who is still rewriting the tournament in 2026. What makes this particular record-breaking night so fitting is how it happened. Not through a flawless performance, not through a perfect script, not through one isolated moment of genius that bailed out a broken team. It happened with a missed penalty, with pressure, with Austria pushing back, with Argentina staying calm, and with Messi, after all these years, still finding a way to make the decisive moment belong to him. 20 years ago, an 18-year-old came off the bench in Germany and scored his first World Cup goal. 2 decades, 6 World Cups, 1 World Cup trophy, and 18 goals later,
that same player stood in Dallas as the greatest goal scorer the tournament has ever produced. The record now belongs to Messi. The only question left is how much higher he intends to push it before this World Cup and his extraordinary career finally come to an end. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe for more content like this. Also, don't forget to hit the notifications bell so you never miss a beat. And with that, we'll see you in the next video.